I'm 75 and I have issues. Shame, guilt, fear, never good enough. I can't say no. I can't make a decision. I have 3 life coaches because one just wasn't enough to figure me out. I'm a weirdo. I think I just don't belong here. I was just dropped into a world that was alien to me. Or, maybe I'm the alien, but I sure have never understood this place. When I was a baby, my parents used to run the vacuum cleaner so they couldn't hear my screaming. I just never wanted to be here. And don't think just because I have an airy-fairy name that I live in the clouds. Where did rainbows get that reputation anyway? When you see a rainbow, there's a storm and it's dark and rain. I mean, they're there to show you that even though it's scary and dark, that you're going to make it through. It's a promise from God that says, hey, I'm still here. Now, don't we all need to know that when we're in a storm? I wasn't always called Rainbow, When I was a child, they called me Kay. Yeah, I know, you can spell it with 1 letter. I don't think they thought I was going to be very smart. I always thought that maybe it could be a longer name. And, Kay could be the nickname, like Catherine. But that was never going to happen because my daddy's ex-girlfriend was named Catherine. Katie. I mean, they talked about her all the time. Katie this, Katie that. Honestly, how did my mother put up with that? So they were never going to name me after the ex-girlfriend. When I hear my birth name, I get sick, my stomach cramps up, and I just want to throw up. If you want to make me really angry, call me Kay. Let's just say that childhood wasn't exactly happy. Alcoholic, abusive father who was in love with me. I'll let you figure out that part. You know what happens when you get a daddy that abuses you? You're sick all the time. I was afraid of everything, and I was afraid of, I was allergic to everything too. I mean, I couldn't go outside because I was allergic to the grass. I had to have a special pillow because I was allergic to feathers. And I had to take it with me whenever I went to a slumber party. Frail, pale, sickly, couldn't eat, which led to lots of punishment just for not eating. I realized later that I was probably a vegetarian in my last lifetime because just the thought of eating meat used to make me gag. But that didn't stop them. Good Midwestern carnivores, they would make me sit from one meal to the next with like a hunk of meat in the back of my mouth just dissolving. Weirdo. Ha ha to them though. I turned out to be really smart and I was on the honor roll and I got all these awards for being a musical prodigy. Still, I was never good enough for my father, who probably just had so much guilt he had to take it out on me. When I was 10, I had a vision, and I saw God. I even felt him touch my shoulder. And I decided to be a doctor so I could take away the suffering of humanity. Ah, the grandiosity of a child. So I was this little, sickly, weirdo, religious music nerd who spent all of her time either volunteering at the hospital or playing the piano or dreaming when she would be able to save the world. It continued into college. I was still sick all the time. My father cut off support because I didn't want to cut my hair. So I had to go to school and work. I had mono for a whole year. I remember being suicidal because the pain was so bad. And then the stupid doctor thought it was really, well, rheumatic fever, and he put me on penicillin for a year. Goodbye immune system. And then he added cortisone for all these weird bumps on my legs. But I just kept getting all these mysterious illnesses. I didn't let it stop me. I got into medical school after 3 years of college. But I was still a weirdo that didn't fit in. My idea of a doctor was this nice man who you saw at church, and he would come to your house whenever you got sick. But in medical school, they didn't even use patients' names. It would be like, the appendix in room 32. I wasn't a quitter, so I stuck with it. I had to take a summer off when I got an ulcer, so I went to Italy to spend the summer with a friend. I remember my father just looked at me with this pained look on his face, and he said, "Why can't you just be average?" Weirdo. By the time I graduated medical school, I was still a mess. If I met one of my classmates now, they would be shocked to see that I'm still alive. Did I tell you that I was sick a lot? Well, here is a list in alphabetical order with all the things I've been diagnosed with. I'm not counting getting crabs in medical school. It was the 70s. Asthma, bronchitis, cataract, chronic depression, Crohn's disease, duodenal ulcer, eczema, erythema nodosum, gallbladder disease, goiter, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, hay fever, headaches, irritable bowel syndrome, liver disease, menopause from hell with atrial fibrillation, and visions of driving my car off of a cliff, hemorrhage, anemia. I had to be carried home in a stretcher from India. Migraines, miscarriage, mononucleosis, nervous breakdown, rheumatic fever, strep throat, toxemia of pregnancy with high blood pressure, typhoid, bad food in Mexico, uterine fibroid, vertigo. Well, that doesn't count my injuries. Crushed patella, my horse ran into a wall. 2 trigger fingers, sacroiliac injury. Well, that's when my horse fell over a jump. 2 torn rotator cuffs, whiplash, several fractures, knee, hip, ulna from doing Aikido, radius, I blame my puppy for that one. Rib, well, that was the puppy too. Olecranon, lots of toes, and a metatarsal. I was so sick in my internship that I had to ask for a leave of absence. But really it was because I was so miserable. It was in the South, and one of my mentors said, "Down here, our women stay at home. You don't belong here." And he wouldn't even call me when I was supposed to see a patient. Well, I had also given them a long list of what was wrong with their hospital. They said I could come back if I got a letter from a shrink. Nobody quits an internship. I did. Weirdo. My entire redneck family disowned me when I married a black man. As if it wasn't already hard enough in the 70s being in a mixed marriage. Yes, my dad was a racist, but really, I think he just didn't want to share me with anybody. After an illness, I needed a place to crash, so I had to go home to my parents. My father made me promise not to tell anyone that I was a vegetarian, or that I was married or had a child. So I took off my wedding ring and pretended. We girls born in the 40s just didn't know we had a choice. I called my father when he was on his deathbed, and he said, "I still don't approve of your religion." I meditate. "Or your marriage." "Okay, Daddy, you can go ahead and die now." Obviously, the medical system had failed me. My first job was at Iowa State University, and I couldn't figure out why all these college-age kids were getting sick. There must be a way that we could prevent that. So, besides hating the way the medical system treated people, and realizing that it had failed me, and it had failed these young people, I started questioning what I was taught. It was the early 70s, and I ended up doing a lot of workshops with all these new human potential ideas springing up. Primal therapy, Gestalt therapy, humanistic psychology, yoga, meditation. I had two epiphanies that totally changed the way I looked at medicine. One was the work that I did with martial artists in Aikido and Tai Chi. They worked with this powerful, invisible energy that they sure didn't tell me about in medical school. If a small woman can break a brick with her hand, she had to be channeling all the life force energy of the universe, which I called Chi, and using mind over matter. If you can do that to a brick, surely you can do the same thing to heal the body. The other thing that changed the way I looked at medicine and totally changed my life, not only as a doctor, but as a patient, was the idea of taking personal responsibility for your own health. Our medical system turns us all into victims. "I'm broken. You must fix me." And I know maybe it seems daunting to take responsibility for all of your problems, including medical, but the fantastic upside is that you can heal yourself. And that's exactly what I did. I was the first holistic MD in New York City in 1975. Weirdo. And basically, I spent my whole career teaching people how to heal themselves and how to stop aging. They tried a couple of times to take my medical license away, and they finally succeeded because we don't know what to do with her. She practices holistic medicine exclusively. She's a weirdo. So they opted to kick me out, which wasn't even really legal. I ended up in the Supreme Court because several national organizations decided that they wanted me to be the test case for the New York law, which allowed MDs to use alternative methods. And because they knew I had done nothing wrong. Well, it was just another case of the little girl going up against big pharma. I lost in the Supreme Court. I knew I did nothing wrong, but I ended up with years of shame that I'm only now getting over. Now I'm happy. I'm working as a health coach to help people reverse aging. And you know, the really fun thing is that now genetic research is proving that these things I've been doing for 48 years actually reverse the aging process. I have always practiced what I preach. My blood tests say that I'm 43, and I have had 75 birthdays. In 2020, I had 4 surgeries for broken bones, 2 on my hip, and I'm still running around being a weirdo. But it isn't easy being different. I still don't fit in. I'm this blonde vegan chick with a new age name. I still have issues. I still always feel like I'm wrong, or not good enough, or a failure, or I'm all alone. It's just that I've never been able to help myself. I'm a weirdo. But I bet that you're a little bit weird too. And I think the world needs your weirdness. We're all bigger than we think we are. And I cannot wait to find out your particular kind of